All right, if everyone will please take a seat. We're ready to begin with Coach Pinkel. Reminder, please turn your cell phones off or put them on silent. Also, there will be a photo opportunity between Coach Pinkel and Coach Saban with the championship trophy for the photographers that are in the room. And also, reminder on the practices today, the Alabama's practice, their first 15 minutes will begin at 3 o'clock, and Missouri's first 15 minutes will begin, I believe, at 4:30. So we'll begin and ask Coach Pinkel just for his general thoughts on the Missouri team coming into the game, and then we'll take your questions. Coach?
First of all, I'd like to just say a comment about Commissioner Slive. I've been in the league 3 years. I've heard so many things about him before I got here, and his leadership style, his management, how he handled what he did for this SEC, and certainly what he's done for college football. I just very appreciative that I had a few years to be around him. I want to wish him well, but what a remarkable man, and the influence that he had on college football. We're probably going to be flying out of Columbia here in about an hour. Our team is, and we're excited about being here. It's difficult to get here. It's a great honor to be representing the Eastern Division of the SEC, and we know we're playing a really, really good football team in Alabama. So, we're excited to get here and look forward to hopefully playing well.
All right, we'll take your questions. We have some floor microphones. If you'll raise your hand, and we'll get a floor mic to you. So hands up, questions for Coach Pinkel. Hands up. All right, first question in the far back.
Hi, Gary. Jeff Spiegel, WBMA in Birmingham. How difficult and how challenging has it been to game plan for this offense?
Well, it is. Presents a lot of problems. A lot of formationing. They put Cooper all over the place. It just presents a lot of problems. They can run the ball well. Big offensive line. They do a lot of zone blocking, play action pass. They throw the ball downfield. So it's certainly a task at hand here for us. And I think they got a great offensive design. Makes it very difficult.
Hands up. Other questions for Coach Pinkel? Raise your hand. Hands up. I can't see too far in the back because of the light, so if you have raise your hand real high so we can see you. All right, let's go ahead in the front.
Coach, just want to ask you about Matty Mock and the development that he's had, and where do you feel like he's grown from the start of the season to now?
Well, he had a really good freshman year. He came in a redshirt freshman year, and I think it's pretty much documented. And then struggled a little bit, middle of the season here. And it wasn't all him. We had some receiver issues. We had some issues. Offensive line. There's a lot of things in throwing the football and the efficiency. And I'm really proud of how he's battled back through it. He's a great competitor. And when he was going through it, I said learning curves happen at different times. And that you're going to learn from this. And it's going to make you a better quarterback down the road, and I think it has. Generally, when we all go through adversity, we grow and learn from it if we're smart, and I think he has. So I think he's been playing well. I think he's been quarterbacking well. And we're certainly going against a great defense that will challenge that.
All right, another question on the far back on the right. Go ahead,
Gary. I know it was two different teams, two different offensive coordinators when you played them last year in Columbia, but is there any advantage just with your team having played Alabama and seen them just a year ago?
Well, that was actually 2 years ago. It wasn't last year. It was the year before. We really haven't talked about that game at all, honestly. As a staff, we went back and looked at it because you want to be responsible, make sure attention to detail, you do all the right things. But our players see Alabama enough. They know they have great respect for Alabama. In this league, you have great respect for everybody, and if you don't, you're in trouble. But certainly, Nick's done such a great job. So, we're just, really, actually, what we're doing is we're focusing on trying to play our best. That's what we're trying to do.
I think we have a question in the middle. Go ahead.
Okay, I was wondering, did you learn anything from the Auburn-Alabama game, the way Auburn was able to attack the Alabama defense?
Well, they threw the ball downfield, made some plays. They got some big plays, and I think that's kind of why it kind of went that way. Alabama was good enough to overcome that, but. I think, everybody's got to run their offense their way, do things that they want to do. And, their defense and offense both are challenges. That's why they're good. So, we'll kind of see where it goes.
Another question in the middle?
wanted to ask about Amari Cooper and how difficult it is to scheme for him, and do you think he's one of the best players in the country?
Yeah, yes. No, yes. And I hear, too, from talking to Nick, he's just a great person, too, which makes it, the story that much better. Just a great player, a playmaker. Look at the number of catches he has and the production he has had, and they have other good receivers, but that's where they lean on. And to think that everybody knows they're going to throw the ball to him all the time, and he still catches all those balls, that's problematic. It really is. And so certainly everybody's going to have their plan, and you're not going to stop the guy. There's no way. You try to contain him the best that you can, and that's difficult to do. But they certainly have other good receivers also. But I've been very, very impressed with him. I think he's, if there's a better receiver in the country, I'd like to see it.
Hands up. Other questions for Coach Pinkel? Let's go ahead right here to the left.
Gary, kind of following up on that, how important is it for you guys defensively to get pressure with Ford?
Well, we always want to get pressure. I mean, we know that's a great equalizer with any quarterback or throwing teams to throw the ball well. The challenge is, can you do it? I mean, they've given up very few sacks, so I think that says a lot about their scheme. I think that says a lot about Sims. I think that says a lot about their offensive line and their practice. So, I mean, it sounds good that we get to the quarterback a lot. We have, but they've done a great job of protecting them. So. That's, we're going to see where that goes. And that's going to be interesting to see, kind of who wins that battle as that game goes on.
Let's go to the far back.
Coach, what, if anything, can you take to your team message-wise of the experience of being in this game, in this type of atmosphere just a year ago for this team this year?
I think, most of the players, except for the freshmen, were here. So, it's a big venue. I mean, the SEC championship game's a big venue, and it's a great stadium in Atlanta, and it's just great numbers. And so I think being here, I think at least you understand it a little bit. You're not going to be enamored with it as much. You can settle down because ultimately, if you're thinking about all that stuff, you're not going to play well. So what you got to do is you got to focus on playing your best and play by play. And regardless of what happens, getting back to playing your best the next snap as it is. And so that's kind of what we're talking about. We're talking more about how we play. But I don't think there's any question that, would you like to have been in the game before? Of course you would, for the experience of being here.
All right, question on the right in the middle. Go ahead.
Hey, Gary, I know there's a couple of high-profile coaching vacancies out there right now. Have you been approached by anybody for interest in any of those or anything like that?
No, I'm just coaching Mizzou football here, so that's where my focus is.
Okay, hands up. Go ahead.
Gary, what do you remember about Nick as a football player when you guys played together? And any chance y'all ever talked about coaching one day when way back then? I just
mentioned that at the luncheon. Nick is a really good guy. We were both graduates. He's a year older than me. I want to make that very clear to everybody. Okay. And we were both graduate assistants. And I remember being in the library at Kent State University. We were both probably 21, 22 years old. We're done playing. And him talking about just coaching college football, how we thought, that'd be really cool to be able to do that, and get paid to coach football. Are you kidding me? And him telling me about, you got to find a good coach, and he'd kind of talk to some people about it. He said you got to ride that coach, get a good coach, so you're not bouncing around coach to coach to coach. And so I vividly remember that discussion I had with him, to think that we'd be sitting next to each other, at an event like this. And I want to say this also about Nick. Back when there were, Bear Bryant, and Woody Hayes, and a lot of the coaches, great coaches, and there's a lot of them out there. Don James, who I work for, is one of them. And, most of those guys, had 95, 105, 115 scholarships, at least one portion of their career. I don't know that anybody's done a good job of coaching at a consistent level with 85 scholarships as Nick Saban has. And I'm not saying this because he's my friend. I'm telling you this because I just have great respect. To win at the level that he's won year after year after year, you don't see anybody doing it like that, okay, with his consistency. So, I just think he is a great football coach, and he's a good friend. But sometimes I don't think he gets the credit he's due.
Let's take a question on the back left, and then we'll come get you on the right. Go ahead.
Gary, realistically, did you think when y'all joined the SEC that this would be possible to be in the championship game 2 of your first 3 years? And as a follower of that, do y'all feel like you're sort of everybody in the conference is pulling against you except your fans, because obviously if Alabama wins, they're in. If you guys win, the SEC
Yeah,
might be
well.
knocked out of it altogether. So, a couple questions there.
I'm one of those guys that go and think I'm going to win every game every year as a coach. I just focus on every game and try to do that. After the first year, I would probably question that a little bit. We had a lot of injuries, and we've been very, very healthy the last couple of years, which has certainly helped us. And this is about us and trying to play our best football game. Certainly we want to be the SEC champions. But yet, if you're going to be the SEC champions, you're going to have to beat somebody really good to do it. And that's our challenge.
Hey, right side, go ahead.
Yeah, Gary, after your slightly cataclysmic loss to Indiana early in the season, how much did you use that as a motivator for people that basically have written you off? Because every time people talk about Missouri now, it's no longer, oh, they're in the SEC championship game. It's, oh, they lost to Indiana.
Yeah. Well, we didn't play very well, and they did. So I think I'm not going to take anything away from Indiana. We didn't play very well. I think the whole first part of the season to what my expectation was. My expectation was higher. I thought we should be playing better than what we were, and for whatever reason we weren't. And then Georgia came in and beat us. We turned the ball over 5 times, but they beat us. And so it was kind of for us. It was a time when that Sunday afterwards, it was kind of the sense of urgency became a whole new phrase for us. That we can sit and talk about how we're going to play better and be better, but we're not getting there. And so what are we going to do to get it done? The seniors elevated their leadership. I think the sense of urgency we realized, and slowly but surely, I think we became a much better football team. And I think we're a lot better football team now than we were then.
A question in the middle on the left, go ahead.
Coach Pinkel, I was just curious, you talked about Blake Sims, and earlier this week you talked about the resiliency he showed in the Iron Bowl, and you talked about him avoiding sacks. What impresses you the most about the way he's performed this year, in his first year as a starter?
Well, I think first of all, he's a senior, and they've done a great job with him. And so he's had a lot of reps, and certainly in practices also. He's played a lot in terms of training. The consistency of his play. He's a very efficient quarterback. Look at his efficiency rating; it's very, very high. Obviously, they do a great job coaching him. But here's a guy that's an older guy. He's not a redshirt freshman out there, a redshirt sophomore. A guy that's been around. And they identified him and thought they could be the most consistent with his play, and obviously they made a great decision. But he's also a very good athlete. He can extend plays. He can do things with his feet, which cause a lot of problems also. So it's I think that very, very impressive player.
Hey, hands up. Other questions for Coach Pinkel? Raise your hand, please. All right, let's go to the back on the right.
Coach, you mentioned the team play, especially at the beginning of the year. Was there a turning point for this team this year? Immediately what comes to my mind is the fourth quarter at South Carolina, but that followed up with Georgia loss. Was there a turning point for this team this year, Coach?
No, I just think it was after the Georgia game. We had to look at each other. I think that was really the time, and it was with methodically went through week after week after week, and I think we became a better football team.
Hands up. Other questions for Coach Pinkel? All right, let's go back to the right side in the back.
Coach, I was just wondering, clearly you guys have improved during the course of the season. I'm assuming you've seen almost every Alabama game this year as well. Where do you think they have improved over the course of the season as you study them?
Well, I think they really have improved also. Their loss at Ole Miss, that loss. You find out about your football team when something like that happens, and obviously they kind of circled the wagons, and they that probably made them a better football team. They didn't know it at the time, but they've certainly got a lot better too. If you can stay healthy and you got good leadership and kids that want to, that really want to win. You can certainly improve as a team, and they have also.
All right, we got a question in the middle. Brooke, let's bring the mic over to the middle here. Go ahead.
Hey, Gary, Mike Alton's announced that the south end zone's going through before the training facility now. I mean, I guess just why was that such an important, thing for you to have first, and what do you think that's going to do for you guys?
Well, we want to build a state-of-the-art football complex at the south end. We just felt that would have the biggest impact on recruiting, to be honest with you. And also, I think, from an infrastructure standpoint, to be able to have that and what that would do as far as opening other really quality, high-level space for other sports and training rooms, training facilities and such, I think it was kind of a home run in all respects. So I'm excited about it, and I think that'll be a real plus for us, and hopefully we can get that thing going pretty quick.
Other questions for Coach Pinkel? Raise your hand, please. Any others? Excuse me. All right, we've got one in the back. Go ahead.
Coach, I was hoping you'd talk about Alabama offensively, specifically the stable of running backs that they have, and just your impressions specifically of Blake Sims.
Well, what you have first of all, start with their offensive line. They're very athletic. They got great size. Talk about difficult to sack. They're a good running football team. Big running backs. You got Cooper amongst other great receivers, and then Sims is playing at a very, very high level. Talked about his efficiency and what he does. So, other than that, it's an easy task. So but they're good, and we expect them. You get in this game, you expect to play good people, and so they've really, really done well. And then defensively, they got the big defensive tackles, and they stop the run. They're very athletic in the secondary. And Nick's a defensive guy, and they always play good defense, and so they got a great football team.
All right, question down front. Go ahead.
Coach, they have struggled a little bit in pass defense. What have you seen in terms of what's been susceptible a little bit in their secondary?
Well, I think if everybody tries to get big plays. I mean, everybody works to do that. It's very difficult to do that on a consistent basis. So they're very, very athletic. The secondary, they're very disciplined. They're very well coached, and we're going to have to get a plan to attack the best we can. And there's no question about it. You're going to have to make plays, to win this game. I mean, you're going to have to do that, and I think we all know that. And who makes the most plays, have a better chance of winning. So that's going to be our challenge for sure.
All right, question in the middle over here. Go ahead.
Some of your players said Monday that last year in Atlanta, they might have been playing a little more for respect, and Auburn was playing for the championship. Going into this game, how have your team talks kind of reflected that and orientating your team to go for the championship instead of respect?
Well, I think you always want to win. I don't think there's any question about that. That is nothing. That's goes without saying. So my big thing is the chance you have to win. I don't care any football game you play. Certainly this one is you got to play well. Everybody's got to play well. It's got to be consistent. You got to rise to the occasion. Maybe play your best, and that's ultimately what's important. And that's what our focus is on playing well and giving ourselves a chance to win the game. And we approach every football game like that, and this game is no different.
We got another question in the middle. Go ahead.
Until recently, Alabama's run defense has been exceptional, but they've also still only allowed 3 rushing touchdowns all season and things like that. Given that, is there an added onus on Matty Mock to play exceptionally well in this game right from the beginning, to give you guys a chance?
Well, I just think everybody's got to play well. I mean, it's just not Matty. Obviously any quarterback, in college football has to play well if you want the offense to do well. But, we're going to have to block. We're going to have to throw, catch, make plays. There's a lot of things we're going to have to do. We have to play, good defense, hopefully limit big plays, against one of the best receivers in the nation. So, that's our challenge.
Other questions for Coach Pinkel? Raise your hand. Any others? All right, let's go to the back on the left.
Gary, how big has it been for you to have 2 great pass rushers like Golden and Ray?
Well, they're great competitors, great kids. I'm very proud of them, how they compete. They obviously they were juniors last year, and every team you play has different challenges. So we talk about the speed and athleticism of those guys and the things they've done. That's great, but then you look at Alabama and Sims gives up very few sacks. So that's how's that going to play out? And that's certainly going to be part of the story a little bit. But I'm very, very proud of those guys. They're very, very competitive and they've done a good job for us.
Hands up. Any other questions for Coach Pinkel? Okay, let's go back to the back on the right.
Thank you. Just a quick question for you about your former player, Michael Sam. How much support have you given him over the process of what he went through since he left you and not getting onto an NFL, well, not sort of really getting onto an NFL roster this year, despite being one of your best players last year?
Yeah, it was great for first team All-American. Michael did. I was certainly very proud of him. I get a text from him occasionally. We talk occasionally. There's going to be life after football, whether he has another opportunity or not. But I'm certainly glad he was given an opportunity, and we'll just see where it goes.
Okay, I think I see a hand in the far back on the right.
Coach, I can't help but ask, after seeing that piece a few weeks ago on ESPN about you dancing, have you prepared a victory dance should you win tomorrow evening?
The answer to that is no.
Any other questions for Coach Pinkel? Raise your hand. All right, back to the front.
Coach, obviously you got rush ends that like to get up the field, but Sims has the ability to get underneath that and make plays. How disciplined does Ray and Golden have to be when they're trying to get after him?
Well, Craig Kulgowski is our defensive line coach, and he's done an exceptional job. And what you're trying to do is it's all game planning. You try to see how quarterbacks extend plays, and they do it a lot of different ways. And so that's something that you look at. But in the heat of the battle, it certainly is about discipline and about people being in the right position to make plays. But we'll see how that plays out.
Other questions for Coach Pinkel? Raise your hand. All right, if no other questions, we'll take just about a 5-minute break, and then we'll have the photo op with the two coaches and the trophy, and then we'll continue on with Coach Saban.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.